So hi everyone, it's Layla Shaver here, and I'm here with another phenomenal woman of 2021, Rene Nourse. Rene, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I couldn't resist having someone as fabulous as Rene here. And who better to represent, phenomenal women in our industry than you? So I'd love, for the sake of our audience who's watching, I'd love for you to tell us more about you, your firm, and the services you provide.
Well, thank you. I'm so honored to be here and to be interviewed by my favorite lady, my compliance lady, which y'all all need. But I'm very honored to be in this space and still be successful and still be around. My firm, Urban Wealth Management, and I always have to explain this to people. Why did I come up with the name Urban? Because they always think it's about only serving certain race. And as I tell them, no, my idea, and the reason why I came up with the name is because I really want to focus on working with women because women are underserved and overlooked. Whether that we are clients or whether we are advisors. So from a client perspective, women want to work with women that look like them and understand because we are great on multitasking often, and we don't really focus on taking care of ourselves. So we want to make that as a priority and help women create the lifestyle they desire and deserve. For advisors and women advisors, we know this is a male dominated industry. And that's okay as long as they're open-minded and are going to be our advocates for helping us to switch over. But at the end of the day, we know that the culture and environment was not supportive of women. And I wanted to create a firm that was going to be extremely supportive of women. Now, in addition to that, urban, the name urban came up because we focus on working with professional women, and that's where professional women are in major urban towns, cities, not in suburban areas typically. Well, maybe they live there because they've made some good money, but they work in major urban areas. And that's why I came up with the name Urban Wealth Management.
Awesome. No, that's very true. I think you and I have talked about this a little bit before about terms in our community and terms in our industry that get misconstrued, and how we want to kind of remove those antiquated meanings and revitalize some of these terms to mean something different. So I love how you've named your firm Urban Wealth Management. So tell us more about your team and the services you guys provide, women and the other types of clients that you see through your firm.
Well, we have a great team. One of the ones that I want to highlight, even though I'm the owner of the firm, my admin, we've been working together for over 20 years when I was at a major wirehouse. And I tell, I might be the owner, but she's the boss of everybody. And I think it's important to be able to support women in a variety of different roles and positions. So first off, she is on the ops end and admin end, and is very supportive of all of us. The other women who are with us, and this is a major priority with me, is I want to make sure that we have a focus on financial planning and not just strictly asset management, which is what this industry is really focused on. How much assets do you have? If you don't have enough, we don't want to work with you. We're always going to start the financial planning door. So my requirement for these women coming on board is that they have their CFP or are planning to get it. So one of our women is single, and so she's focusing on the issues that single women have. And they are, again, professionals. Another one is focusing on widows and individuals, particularly that are in the health industry. So our newest addition to the team is a former apprentice, and she actually made a career change, which is interesting. Everybody that is with us, except for the admin, we made career changes. So the last person that we brought on board was in the education field for a number of years, and now she did some intern work with us during the summer because obviously schools are closed during the summer, and she was on board with us about 3 years ago. And anyway, long story short, she started working for a major firm, and now I asked her about a month ago, "Would you like to come back?" She said, "Yes, I would love to come back." So, and she's millennial. And that's one of the things also, I really want to be able to expand our team and have a broader base of not only diversity, because we have Latinos, we have African American, um, and I want to be able to expand it so it also will include younger LGBTQs. We want to be able to have people that represent our communities and understand what their lifestyles, needs are, and focus on the financial planning um, rather than just assets.
Amazing, because that's, you know, unfortunately still uncommon to see that much diversity, especially in a smaller firm like yours, let alone a much larger institution. So, what are ways in which you are getting out there and attracting these diverse women to your organization?
Well, I think, first of all, the fact that it is a woman led firm is a big plus.
Mm.
Because even now that there's been this big push for diversity and inclusion, it still is male dominated fields. And unless they're very open minded and are advocates for the women, it still is pretty much male oversight. And so the fact that there is this desire to be in a culture and an environment that is embraced by women, and understands that all women are multitaskers. So, there's people that have young kids. There's some that are taking care of their parents. There's some that have obligations in some other areas. And so I'm open-minded. One of my team members former team members now, could she be on the board of the Women's Foundation of California? And I said, absolutely. But had she been at another major firm, they probably would have pushed back on that and said, well, let's think about it. We'll go through our compliance department. And it could have been months, definitely weeks before she would have gotten an okay. But I said it within minutes. And so that is so important that, to be able to, number one, just raise your hand to say, I'm a woman owned firm. I want other women. And they're jumping in. I had a few men to come and say, can I join with urban wealth management? Well, no, sorry. I know I know I can't promote that. I can't say that out in public because that's not legally correct, but I definitely want to make sure that women feel comfortable about building their practice and ultimately building a business.
No, that's awesome to hear. And I think it's funny that you've got men kind of beating down your door as well, who are interested in kind of getting access and joining such a supportive network of women working together to serve their clients. So you mentioned earlier where you require everyone to get a CFP. What is your reasoning behind that?
Well, there's a couple things. Now, women make up the majority of the population in this country. The last numbers showed 51%. I think it's even more than that right now, that we make up more than probably closer to 55% of the population here in the United States. But CFPs, there's less than 1/4 of the CFPs are women. And that's even true on the straight financial advisor side. We're, 25% maybe, even though we make up the majority of this population. And we also make up the majority of the wealth accumulation in this population, in this country, and on a global basis too, but in any event. So I think it's really important that there's an acknowledgement of that. Now, if we take it even a step further and we look at what is the percentage of people of color that are CFPs, it's less than 4%. It's like 3%. 3.5%. They raised it a little bit, but that's African American, Latinos, Asian. 3.5%. Now, so my role and my goal is to definitely support women and women of color in particular, because we need to have a bigger step. We need to have a bigger footprint in this industry. And the better way, and I think the best way to do it, is to be with women leadership teams.
That's amazing. I'm so glad you say that, because I think a lot of times we see companies put together these diversity and inclusion panels, and it's a lot of feel good conversation, but it's when you break it down to the statistics, it's staggering how today in 2021 there is still such significant underrepresentation of women and minorities in financial services, in people with holding CFP designations. It's incredible. So what are things that you're trying to do beyond making this a requirement within your own firm? I know you're super active out there. What are other things you're doing to bring more attention to this, to help the industry evolve?
Well, doing something similar to what you and I are doing, which is being on these webinars and podcasts and putting this public information out there. Because I think, and for major conferences to be speaking about this. And in addition to that, which I would really like to get a stronger footprint into as well, is to be in the education space, starting really ideally in elementary school, but at the very least in high school. Not waiting until college to talk to students about coming into this industry and the importance of being in the financial services, financial planning. But the industry is huge. You could be on the marketing side, you could be on the compliance side, but to be able to bring in women in a variety of different levels and responsibilities and roles, because our input is really important in leadership roles. You can't expect, and here's another very important point. United States is a consumer-driven economy. That means that whatever we spend is what brings and strengthens the economy. And women are at the top of that economic role, because we are the highest levels of consumers. And so again, stepping in and explaining and expressing what the importance of understanding finance, financial lives, budgeting, cash flows, all of those things are so important on the financial side, that we really want to be able to share with our students how important their input is going to be, and being able to train them about that so that they can teach their kids, their family members, their communities about being on task with that.
So I'm so glad you've talked about some of this, because I think it's really important to really put it out there, not just paying lip service, but really having the big organizers of conferences, these big leaders of our large custodians and other service providers to our industry, not just keep putting together D&I panels, but really, put money where their mouth is and bring on diverse leadership, bring on not just people that are women and minorities into entry level positions, but bringing them and welcoming them into management positions. So how do you feel the industry has been doing over the last few years in terms of really being serious about bringing in diversity of leadership? And what more do you think we can do to continue to welcome more diversity leadership into executive positions, and not just that, but even making it so the little girl in elementary school, the young girl in high school is thinking about where she wants to go to college and what career she wants to do, the young woman in college who's considering an economics degree or finance degree. how do we move beyond just inclusion with our current population and invite the next generation in?
Hmm, that's a good question. So I would say, and we're starting to see this happen, that consumers are the ones that are making the demand. And this last year, as we know, 2020 was a very, very difficult, challenging, sad um, year. I could use some other terms, but I'm gonna be nice about that description. But what we're seeing, and this is a perfect example of what we're seeing here at our firm, there are so many people, consumers, that are stepping up and saying, I don't want to support or work with a company or buy products from a company that is not having leadership of people that look like their community. And that is really pushing the bar, I think. And I think a number of financial industry firms are going to see that. For example, we've had a number of people coming into our website who, and we always ask, how did you find us? Why did you find us? And the thing that they say is, I want to work with a woman, or I'm looking for a person of color, or I want a woman of color. And they're not women of color or men of color for that matter. But their consumers are saying, I don't want to work with anybody else that's like that. The second thing that we've heard is, I've been working with this financial advisor for years, and all they focus on is my asset management. They don't care about me personally. They're not asking, what my experience has been in 2020. They lost a family member. They never ask those kind of questions, but women do. We are relationship driven, and we will do that. And so I think we're at a point right now. The diversity inclusion has, that focus has really, it was sort of up there, a couple of years ago, there was some thoughts about it, but now it's really pushing forward. And it needs to be more than just a conversation about diversity and inclusion. Just don't talk about it. Just don't hire employees and take pictures and put it on your website and say, these are the people that we've hired. Put them in leadership roles, and also support businesses who are going to be able to provide you with services. So, for example, with your firm, hire a woman to be your compliance officer. Hire your accountant who is a woman, or a person of color, or a person of color. Just don't hire people that are going to clean up your office or your space as women and people of color, but in leadership roles. That's what we need. And be consistent, and just don't hire people to be not in leadership roles, but just to be employees.
No, completely agree. One of the things I actually want to highlight, and I know this because I work with you, but you've actually created kind of an interesting platform for a younger person to come in with less experience, who's really interested in the industry and becoming a CFP. And you've kind of created this interesting 18-month program almost. Could you tell us a little bit more? Because I think it's fantastic. It's not something I see a lot out there, but I think it's something that's really a game changer in terms of having someone like you, who's a woman, a person of color, standing as an example that this is possible for someone that looks like me. And then creating a pathway for the next generation or the next woman to kind of come in and earn that experience and build up to a full-fledged CFP position with your firm. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to get some feedback from her to tell us, yeah, this is working. And I'm always a big proponent of this, is that, even if you're a mentor, your mentee is going to teach you a lot of things. And so one needs to be very open about it. So this young lady we're bringing on, she basically is an assistant financial advisor. And with that, because she needs to understand what the policies and procedures are, our onboarding of new clients, our maintenance of that, what work we do with them, the research. So we have her involved with our meetings. We always ask the clients, or prospective clients, but basically our clients. We are training someone now. Are you okay with that? And they've all said, yes, we really want to thank you for bringing on someone. And she will just listen in on the calls. And then we ask her afterwards, what are your thoughts? What did you think that occurred? So she's going to be in that role for probably about 6 to 9 months, we figure. Then we want to have her to come on as a para planner. And during that phase, she's going to be much more engaged with starting to create financial plans, sharing that with the clients and being in, whereas the first initial stages, she's just listening and not saying anything, but then she can be as a para planner in those meetings, doing the reports and sharing that. And then in the final phase, then she will, when she becomes a para planner, then she can start focusing on building out her client base and start doing the marketing, using our marketing to do that and posting on social media, etc. So by the end of the 18 months, she will have met a few objectives, understanding our policies and procedures, our compliance rules, but also it will give her the opportunity, because to get your CFP certification, you have to have 3 years experience. So she will just hit that mark, because she was with another financial firm for about a year, a little over a year. So she should be able to meet it right away. So the objectives will be that when somebody does come on board like this, it will give them the time to understand what the initiatives are, the policies and procedures, the regulatory levels, and be able to have the benefit of the marketing, but helping us as the CFPs, because we need help, and being able to turn over that responsibility to them. So it benefits both sides.
I mean, it sounds like that way too, you're really giving them an opportunity to get comfortable, to really sink themselves into learning about the client relationship, how to build that client relationship, how to communicate with the client, kind of seeing you and the rest of your team interact with clients really teaches, that person, the, interpersonal skills, how to talk about finances, how to, list different buzzwords to listen to. And it's not, I think, maybe what you and I are more used to in former positions, where you're just kind of thrown into circumstances and you just kind of have to learn it on your own and figure it out. This seems to be much more methodical, much more thorough. And, when it's coming from this more mentorship, I think it actually allows for more creativity, more engagement.
Absolutely. And I think a big part of that too is getting feedback from her to say, okay, this is what I observed. Because obviously we're doing Zoom meetings. We're not going to be seeing anyone coming into our offices. And there's only 2 of us that are coming in on a daily basis. But she will get the opportunity to observe, maybe while I'm talking, she sees the client's eyes doing something like that, or they're sitting back a little bit, and then she can tell me later, wow, did you see what she was doing and or he was doing, and what their thoughts were. So getting that kind of feedback, or Renee, you might want to have asked this question, or let's update the client profile to include this, this content. So there's a way for us to both teach each other things, and I'm really looking forward to getting her input about it. And she's been really excellent so far with giving us some ideas.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think that's a really key thing, is I think we always think about like the mentor mentoring the mentee, but it does go the other way a lot. And having that kind of relationship can only make you better, make your firm better, and really continue to evolve and change as, our industry changes, as, the environment around us changes. So what is kind of one thing that you would like to leave our audience with? What is something, a goal, an ambition, a word of caution, a hope, a prayer, whatever it may be? What is something that you would like to end on? Something that you would like, that's very important to you, that you'd like to share?
Well, I would say, and I think this has been an internal issue that women have been faced with forever. Our level of confidence has been low because when we've come up with ideas, especially in this industry, to say or consider doing things differently than what their male dominated leaders have said, this is the only way you can build out your business, build out your practice. But to have confidence in who we are and our thoughts and what we say is important, even though you might hear from someone, typically male, that no, that's not, that's not going to be profitable for you, or profitable for our business. And so I think it's really important to focus on the things that you yourself as an individual, um, can be very relevant in connecting with your intentional client base. So for example, let's say you have an interest in individuals who have hair salons, just make up anything, because that's one of your favorite things to do. Well, then you need to know what are some of the special characteristics and challenges that they have, and be able to connect with them and say, this is a really great area. This is an area I love. This is one I can support, and feel confident about whatever you decide to do and whatever statements that you make. It is real, it is relevant, and it's important. And again, it's not just about how much money you have, how much assets that you have, but you can start out with somebody that doesn't have any assets initially, but they'll work with you as a planner. And over the years, they'll start to have a lot of money. And guess what? They're going to continue to work with you. So just have confidence in you, in yourself, and what you do, and what you feel that you can really help people to accomplish. So, yep.
That's amazing, Renee. You're totally right too, because I feel like as women, things that are just necessary everyday things, we're like, oh, I'm gonna treat myself and go get my hair done. It's like, that's a basic need, woman. Like, that's not treat yourself. But yeah, I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and very true. I know we've both experienced it where our creativity or our thought on how to do something different's been quashed because that's not the way it's been done by the men before us. So I think that's really important, and kind of what my goal is with Phenomenal Women of 2021 is creating a network of women that any lady out there watching can come and connect with you, connect with me, or any other one of our phenomenal women, and know that there is someone you can go and talk to. There is someone who's going to uplift you. And I think that's why your program that you're creating and testing out with this newest on board, this you have this newest lady, I think that's phenomenal. And I hope to see more programs like it to really foster that kind of environment of support and mentorship and growth. So thank you so much, Renee. It's always such a pleasure speaking with you. If you guys have any questions, anytime someone wants to connect, what is the best way they can reach you, Renee?
They can reach me by coming into the website, urbanwm.com. It stands for Urban Wealth Management, but urbanwm.com, and there's a connect with us there. But we also have social media sites. We have a Facebook page. We have a group called Smart Women, because all women are Smart Women Savvy Money Club, and there's no cost to that, but there you will be able to see what our comments are. We host monthly webinars. We've been doing that for about 6 years, and it's just not about money related things. It's about lifestyle related issues. So we just did one last month on vision board. So that way, everybody has New Year's resolutions, but then we did it virtually, obviously, and it was a great turnout. But it's about lifestyle. We need to take care of ourselves because women, we are so much multitaskers, taking care of so many other people, our family, but we got to focus on ourselves. Doesn't mean we're not going to take care of them, but you can't take care of them unless you are strong and you're taking care of yourself first. So that's one of the most important things I think that we as women, no matter what industry we're in, but
Yeah.
especially with women in this financial industry, to take care of ourselves.
Very true, Renee. Very true. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. Such a great and spirited conversation. Everyone, be well. Check out Renee and Urban Wealth Management. Make sure to visit their website. And thank you, Renee, for being one of our phenomenal women of 2021.
Thank you for having me.